Hello. So this month and last month I've been getting a lot of new books, and I decided, you know what, why not just create a little book haul video for these books that I just got. And I also just recently got my bookshelf back from my parents' house and finally got everything put together on there. So I was like, why not do a little shelf tour as well? So I'm gonna just talk about the books that I got for my birthday and that I've been getting in the mail. I'm still waiting on one more book, which is the new Sister Soldier book, the second book to this one right here, the second one for the coldest winter ever. I forgot the name of it. I think it was like something called like something with death in it. I know that for sure. So I'm gonna get that in the mail sometime in March though, because I had to pre-order it. So I'm gonna start with the books that I got from Half Price Books, and I got this little bag as well because I forgot mine here, and I didn't want to carry all my books because it was my books, the books that Khalil got, and the books that my sister got as well. So I just got this little bag, and it was only 99 cents. So the first book from Half Price Books is called The Trap by Melanie. I don't even know how to say that last name, but there it is right there. And it was only $3 in the clearance section. So at first I looked at it and I kind of walked past it. And then my sister was like, oh, this book looks good. You should read it. And once you're done reading it, like, mail it to me so I can read it. So I was like, okay, it's only $3. Might as well check it out. And this book was actually pretty good. I already finished it within like, I want to say it took me like a week to finish it just because I had other stuff to do. But I think it's a really good book. It just wasn't like, it was good, but then at the same time, like, I put it down and wasn't like, oh, I have to keep reading this book. Like, it was just like, oh, I put it down. Okay, I'm going to go like 2 days without reading it. That's fine. I'll read my little webtoons or whatever. Then I'll come back to it. But I'm going to send it to her anyway. It's about basically, so it says under, right here, it says, I know who killed my sister. I wrote this book for him. So it's basically about this lady who's like an author, and she walks in on her sister. Like, she walks into her sister's flat and sees that she's like murdered, and then she sees the murderer as he's leaving. So a lot of years go by, and then she finally sees his face again, and then she's like on this mission to like prove that he's guilty. And then that's when it really starts to get good. And then this is one of the books that I came in there initially looking for, which is called Alone by Scott Zigler. This is the third book of a trilogy. So I have the first book, and it's over here on the bookshelf. I had got it from a friend back in college who was giving away a lot of books, and they're like, oh, you should read this one. This is really good. It took me like quite some time to actually finally read it. And when I did, oh my gosh, that book was so good. It was called, it was, the first book is called Alive. And that book is crazy. So I was like, oh, okay, there's there's 2 other books. I definitely got to finish like reading the whole series. So I went to go look for the second book and ended up finding the third book there. And it was only for $5.99. So I was like, oh, bet. But I was sad because they didn't have the second book. So I was like, okay, obviously I'm not going to read this third book until I get the second book. And then the last book that I got from there was also on clearance, and it was $2. And it's just called Room by Emma Donahue. And I don't know, I had this on my book wish list for the longest, and I kind of forgot what it was about because like my book wish list, I have like a little notebook, and I wrote like all the books that I want to read and get. And I had wrote that back in like high school, and so I was just like, I don't really remember what it's about, but I want to get it anyway because it's on my list, obviously. So I found it and I was like, okay, might as well. And there was another book. Oh, shoot. I'll be right back. There was another book I almost forgot about that I got. This was the first one that I saw right once we walked in to Half Price Books. And it was only $10. And it's basically just called Homesteading. And it says a background guide to growing your own food, canning, keeping chickens, generating your own energy, crafting, herbal medicine, and more by Abigail Garing. I think that's what the last name is. But I got this book because I'm interested in homesteading. I don't really want to raise chickens or anything like that. If I were to raise any type of animal, I would get goats, but not for meat or milk purposes. I would just get goats for the purpose of, like, they're cute. They're cute, and like if I have a lot of grass on my land, which like I plan on buying in the future, then they could just be my like lawnmowers. But other than that, like I still want to learn how to can food. I want to learn how to grow my own food, and that's like the part of homesteading that I'm interested in. And so I was like, oh, this book looks like it could help me learn how to, like, garden and can and all that type of stuff. So that's why I got this book. But that was the last. These were all the books that I got from the bookstore for my birthday back in December. And then back to that trilogy by Scott Zigler, I got this book. I just got it like last week in the mail from Thrift Books. And this is the second book called A Light in the series. I don't really like that. Like, this one is hardcover because the other two are paperbacks, but beggars can't be choosers, so it is what it is. I don't really care too much about that. I'm just glad I finally got it so I could figure out what was finna go on in the second part. So I haven't started reading this because I also got this book from Barnes and Noble's online because I had got a gift card for my birthday from Khalil's family. And it's called The World of Wonders by, I'm not even going to say this, but you see her name at the bottom. But I just like how she takes an animal or something and then correlates it to a certain aspect of her life. And then she also gives fun facts about, said animal or said plant or whatever. And, I mean, the cover is really pretty, so. It was on, like, the top, when I went on the website, it was at the top, and it was, like, bestseller or something like that, like, top pick. So I was like, oh, I might as well just check it out because books that I was looking for on there, which was A Light, was not there. And so I was just like, I looked for some other books that was on my list, but they were all either way too expensive for no reason or they just didn't have them. So I just like, might as well just check this new book out, see how it goes. It is what it is. I mean, I got a gift card. So that was all of the books that I got from my book haul. Now onto the shelf. This actually used to be way taller than this. I want to say it was like up to my shoulder, and I'm like 5'4.5". But it had way too many heavy books on it, and it ended up breaking in half. So I just kept the top part, and that's why it's so small. But I really can't part with this little bookshelf because this was what started it all, So I can't get rid of it, and I'm just going to keep it like this. It's cute for my little setup, which you'll see in a little bit. But when it comes to, like, organization of the bookshelf, it's more about where can these books fit? Then I'll base it off of that. And also, like, to keep it balanced, because if I don't, it'll, like, fall over. So, up here at the top, I kind of have, it looks kind of a little bit color-coded, but then it's also a mixture of, like, these books right here in the front are from my childhood. Then it goes into like more of a like theme wise, and then the color just so happens to kind of work a little bit. So like these ones, like The Cellar and Stolen, these are like kind of like dark books because like they're talking about kidnapping and all this stuff. And then it goes into like Sad, which is like this book, which I'll talk about in a whole nother video. It's called Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. And this is about Caitlin, and she in her younger years when she first became like a morgue worker, like working in the morgue, and then her life experiences with that, and also like when she went to mortician school and all that stuff, and how it correlates to life, even though we're talking about death. It whole nother conversation that needs to be had with that book. So I'm not even gonna get too much into it, but Sad. We go into Sad, and then we got Roofie Carr, my favorite poet right now. It talks about sad, like traumatic situations that have happened in her life, as well as women empowerment, and then that's when it switches over to women empowerment type books. So this one is a vindication of the rights of women. I got that in one of my college courses I had to take, so I kept it. Girl Boss, Normal Gets You Nowhere, Not That Kind of Girl. Like these are all about like kind of like empowering women. And then over here, this little section is kind of like women, but it's about like lovey-dovey stuff and the lack thereof. And then over here, I got Greta Thornberg's little book about like all her speeches on climate change, and that's where these kind of talk about like the climate change and like sustainability, but also like basically less is more type of thing. I haven't read this one yet, Garbage Land, but that's why this one's right here instead of up here with the blues. And then the second one, this is literally all about like either a black author or a black female lead. Yeah, that's really what this is. This whole shelf is just about black women mostly. Oh, and then the Sister Soldier books, she's a black author, but this is about a young black man and his whole life stories. As you can tell, I'm a really big fan of Sister Soldier and Terry McMillan. Terry McMillan, Sister Soldier, and then these books I'm gonna talk about later are what like really got me interested in reading more and being into just reading any and everything. Then there's another section down here at the bottom, but my camera doesn't show it, but basically just a whole bunch of random books, really. There is no real organization to this one. There's a lot of John Green here. There's a lot of YA books mostly, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about this bottom section. Okay, so back to the top section. These are what started it all. So back in like 3rd, 4th grade, you know how they had the Scholastic book sale. I had got this book, and I just got it because I thought the cover looked really cool. Just being a little kid. It took me a while, like, to read it. I read, like, the first chapter when I first got it, and I was just like, oh, reading is boring. I don't want to read anymore. And then I left it on, like, wherever I left it for, like, a good year and a half. And then I decided, let me try reading again. And when I did, I picked it up, and I, like, could not put it down. I finished it, and then I waited for the next Scholastic book fair to come so I could get the other ones. So I got the second one, and then I got the third one. It took me a while to get this third one. I convinced my poppy to get me the candy apple series. Like, I literally sat for one summer in my dad's fishing boat in the front of the house and just sat there and read those books all summer long. So moving on from the bookshelf, this little section right here under the TV, I used to have books over here, but now this is all my husband's books that he's been collecting. He's a real big fan of this guy, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. This is the book he's reading right now. He has 5 books from him right now, and he's planning on buying like the whole collection of them later on. The books that he got from Half Price Books were these ones, I guess, from his childhood. He said he was like in love with these books, so he bought them again. They're only $3.99 a piece. Yeah, only $3.99 a piece, so he got these ones. And then there's also some other books that he's gotten. These ones right here from a book, not a book. He got those ones from a yard sale a few months back that we went to. Now me, on the other hand, I do have another shelf full of books, but that's in the bedroom, so we're going to go over there. So this space is pretty tight. I don't really read in here. I usually read on the couch. But I have one little cubby full of books right here, and then there's another cubby down here full of the bigger books, like the homesteading book that I showed earlier. And so these books I mostly got from ordering online when I was back in school, from a book sale back at school where you could get like books that were only cost like 25 cents. They were just trying to get them out of the library. And then there's also books over here that I got from that community yard sale thing that happened a few months ago. This is another book that I got from Half Price Books a long time ago. And it's called 6 Degrees by Duncan J. Watts. And it's another like sustainability type of book where it talks about climate change and all that good stuff. I started reading it a little bit. This is like, I do have a lot of bookmarks from my childhood as well. I got this a long, long time ago from one of the Scholastic book fairs. But yeah, I mean, it's just a bunch of random books that I plan on reading this year. Then I also have the books down here. This one is about weeds, like all the different types of weeds. I got it for 25 cents at that book sale in my college's library. These books down here were just like all the big books, but they also are all mostly about nutrition or gardening. So I got this one called Container Gardening. Since I live in an apartment and I have a balcony, this book will come in handy for when I decide to actually start growing some food on the balcony. And this nutrition book was back from college. It was like the first year that we had got a nutrition class, and I jumped right on that. And I couldn't rent any books. They didn't have them, so I had to buy it. And my grandma was like, "Oh, what do you need for school?" And I was like, "Oh, this book." She bought it for me, so I'm keeping it. Like, can't sell it back now. And even if I did, I wouldn't get it for half as much as it cost. So I decided one of these days I'm going to fully read through this and actually learn about nutrition, because I'm a picky eater and I'm trying to learn how to eat healthy now, and I'm also switching over to being pescatarian, so I think it'll really help me in the long run. But that's pretty much all the books that I have, and I do plan on getting more, but right now my goal is to do a low buy year, so mostly I'm just hoping that all these books, and there's also some more books on that bookshelf that I haven't finished reading or I haven't even started reading that I want to read this year. So I feel like if I finish them all, it'll probably be around December, which is pretty good. So then I won't have to buy any more books. And if I do get more books, it's probably because somebody else bought it for me. The rest of these cubbies are pretty bare. I just have a lot of like decoration stuff in it. But I do think that when I do get more books, I'll probably like rearrange this and add more books to it. Right now, this cubby is just like all my bullet journal / sketchbook stuff. And then I have another cubby down here full of my photo albums and like computer chargers and my computer and stuff down here.